Hi, I'm Tatum Skipper, and welcome to Real Florida Magazine. Today, we are going to take a closer look at Washington-Holmes Technical Center.
Welcome back. Still here at Washington-Holmes Technical Center here in downtown Chipley, Florida. Had a little bit more than we expected today. We were invited here today by Greg Hutching, who heads up the public safety program here at the Tech Center, and didn't really know what it was, but had the idea that maybe it was just some sort of a training session that maybe Greg was doing, or we didn't really know what to expect. When we got here, we met Michael Johnson, we met Dennis and Jeff, and realized that what was happening here today was more than just a training session. It was an opportunity for a bunch of guys who are kindred spirits to share, to explore their spirituality really by the end of the day. This is the third day of a 4-day training session. I only wish that I had had the opportunity to know about it earlier. Frankly, I would have been here for all 4 days of it. Michael, what you do is more than physical training, obviously. There's an undercurrent, like I said, of spirituality, of what's right, of just goodness. These guys on the outside of us here, Dennis and Jeff, work in the corrections industry, as did, I guess, almost everybody that was here. A thankless job, a dangerous job, one that requires extreme focus and dedication and becomes a lifestyle, as we discussed. And here you are offering them tricks of the trade on how to defend themselves, but again, that undercurrent of all kindred spirits and sharing all that goes along with that. Thanks for the opportunity to kind of sit in with you guys today.
Thank you.
It was enjoyable and got to see quite a bit. Your thoughts at the end of this training session? I know you've been doing this a long time. You've certainly been fighting even longer than that. So none of this probably new, but I know that every experience has got to have its unique parts. What do you think about this experience here in Chipley this week?
You know, anytime I get the opportunity to work with warriors, I enjoy doing it because I believe that it's twofold. Warriorism isn't just a physical thing; it's a spiritual thing. It's a financial thing. It's an emotional thing, and so you learn how to start balancing that out and figuring out what it is that you really do, because you don't find out who you are when everything's perfect. You find out who you are when everything's terrible, when the fire is really being put to your feet. And we're finding in our culture now more and more people are ashamed to come forward and be who they actually are. And I think, you find a lot of times where I've been in certain environments where people don't like the fact that I'm a Christian. And so people are like afraid to admit that they're a Christian. Now that's terrible. You've got to be who you are, and you've got to be willing to fight and demonstrate that in this world, whether it is a physical fight or a spiritual fight or an emotional or financial. And that's what I really appreciate, not only about Greg, because Greg has been so hospitable to us, and he brought us in and he's taking great care of us. And he could have easily looked at me and said, wow, I've never had a guy here with green hair. This is kind of strange. But he didn't. He just embraced and brought us in. And the Department of Corrections does the same thing. They care more about their men's safety, their men and women's safety, than they do about me having green hair. Than me having whatever would be outside the outlier. I don't come in here in tactical pants. I wear blue jeans. I wear a t-shirt. This is how I train. This is how I fight. This is how I live. So you've got to train the way you're going to fight. You fight the way you train. I enjoy seeing that inside of these men's faces, the men and women that were inside of this course. And that's for me, as far as my experience, I love just watching these guys grow. It's awesome.
Dennis, for what it's worth, thanks for what you do and everyone in your industry. I think we're realizing that the answer to the problem is not to put everybody in jail. So obviously lots of alternatives. But when all else fails, or when you have somebody who's incorrigible and certainly can't be controlled, then there is only one option. And you and a bunch of other guys dedicate your lives to doing just that. What are your thoughts coming out of this, going into the last day tomorrow of this week? What are your thoughts coming out of this week?
Well, for me, it's very humbling. First, I want to thank my administration, Mr. Mortham, the chief there in Tallahassee. I want to thank them for allowing me the opportunity to venture out and to if you will, look at the evolving of the mixed martial arts, defensive tactics, etc. Definitely want to thank Michael for coming out and believing in us and seeing the heart that our special teams have, the support that we have from our administration, and just wanting to see the Department of Corrections evolve into obviously officer safety, understanding the considerations of staff assaults, et cetera, statewide. I'm very passionate about getting this down to the lower level, if you will, with all due respect. You know, that CO1 on midnights, and making sure that they're safe. And not only for the Department of Corrections, but it's a life-changing experience as well. But anytime we spend as much time as we do with these special team members statewide, and I know Mr. Mortham will say this as well, you know, a piece of us goes with them. And when something happens with a staff assault, we think about the face, the name, the personality, the experiences we've had with them on a proactive measure, training them and hoping that we gave them all so they would be ready for that day of combat that Mike is helping us prepare for. So I'm humbled, and I'm also very appreciative to the team, to the 100% that they give us out here on the mat, and for the partnerships with Shockwave Defense, with Washington-Holmes Technical Institute, and Greg to embrace us, to make us feel part of the family. So to me, it's very humbling this last day. Yes, sir.
Jeff, Dennis points out the fact that you do have that new guy on the midnight shift who's had the basic training, and I think everybody would agree that basic training is just that. They don't have a clue what they're getting into, I'm sure, for the most part. But as he points out, this filters down. This becomes an opportunity for you to train within your ranks, so that even that newest guy gets opportunity to be safe. Coming out of this training session, again, I'll ask that question. What are your thoughts?
Well, and I can certainly relate to that. You know, 18 years ago this week, I was that brand new guy that went on to midnights that first night, and I can remember not knowing exactly what I had walked into, and seeing what has evolved in that 18 years has been, nothing short of amazing to me. Coming up through the ranks and then, coming onto the administrative side of it, to see that what we used to give officers 18 years ago was very minimal. And they were in a very dangerous situation, night in, night out, day in, day out, with very limited tools. And we're doing everything we can. And Michael's a big part of it for Department of Corrections, of bringing innovation to where we're at now. And I think that these officers see it, they're eating it up. And they're really appreciative that they're getting some new tools for their toolbox. And as an officer, I still carry my standards, and I can tell you that for me, that means to me that I'm doing my job. That means that, Dennis is doing their job, and that Michael comes here and he gives us everything that he has every time that he's here, and we couldn't be more appreciative to him. Certainly appreciative to the Institute here for giving us the opportunity to use this room, and I know that in the big scheme of things we may only have 16 guys here right now, but it will be passed down to the 18,000 officers that we have on the floor day in and day out. So I'm excited.
Well, thanks for taking the time to speak today, and thanks for what you do. It's not a pleasant job necessarily, but it's a necessary one. Dennis, Jeff,
I'm going to interrupt you just real quick.
Certainly.
We want to thank you for coming down here and hanging out today and taking time to interview us and doing what you're doing, because that's a huge part of making things like this more aware as well. So thank you for coming down.
Well, thank you, and I'll tell you what, because of that, I'll give you a chance to do a shout out. I know that your website is shockwavedefense.com. Mm-hmm. If somebody wants to find out more about what you do, where you do it, how they can perhaps take advantage of some of it. If you're a part of the law enforcement or corrections community, we have literally worldwide viewers of some of our segments. Not putting any big deal on that, but nonetheless, there is opportunity for people elsewhere to see this.
Thank you.
So am I correct? Shockwavedefense.com?
Shockwavedefense.com, or you can call 505-554-3888, and you can set something up with one of our defense consultants, and we travel all over the world. So we'll come see you, as long as you accept strange-looking people, odd-looking people inside of your
by the end of the day, you don't look strange to me anymore.
Yeah.
I've gotten used to it.
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to go see if my wife will let me do a little bit of dreadlock action here. We've enjoyed our time here, and it's hit me between the eyes much more poignantly than I could have imagined, being amongst this group of guys, and I'll just let it go at that. Here at Washington Holmes Technical Center, again with Michael Johnson, Dennis and Jeff from the Florida Department of Corrections. A very eye-opening experience, and you're going to be able to see many of the clips, many of the photos that we took here today. Again, shockwavedefense.com if you want to find out more about what Michael Johnson offers. And obviously, you know what the Department of Correction offers, and you don't want to go there. So for everybody here, we'll be right back.